In this episode, we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the most requested spray guns on the market and by my viewers, the Hobbyist FLG. This is listed currently around $200 on Amazon, so an affordable budget spray gun that claims to spray very, very well. So today we're going to take a look. We're going to be spraying the tailgate of an MDX and the rear bumper as well. So once again, I got this brand new on Amazon. I just paid around $200 for it. In my opinion, $200 for a budget spray gun that sprays well is a good price. You can see right out of the box it has everything that you need. We'll take a look at our fluid tips. So one thing I do like about this kit is that it comes with a few different options. So you can high build primer. It's got a 1.8, it's got a 1.4, and it's got a 1.2, which I'm gonna leave here in the spray gun itself. I just like a 1.2, it atomizes the paint and less chance of getting a run because it's not pouring the fluid on. Also comes with your gauge, which you're going to need as well. Now to set up your spray gun, you want to back this out all the way and to the point where it's almost out. Hold that trigger and to the right, and when it stops, you're set at wide open. What you beginners can do if you want is turn it one full turn in. One thing I like about this spray gun is it does have the indication, it's scribed little mark here so you know how much to turn it. Some spray guns, they don't have any marks on there. I think that's kind of cheap because, well, it's so easy to just put something right there to indicate how far in or out you are. If you're a fan, what I want you to do is back it all the way out to the left. This is a bigger fan adjustment, so you're going to take that fan and just move it in just about a quarter. That should tighten up the fan just a little bit. At this point, we're pretty much ready to spray. And for those of you that want to use the PPS adapter, we're using the S15 adapter. It fits right into the actual thread that I have right here. So S15 is a very common adapter for all the Hobbyist spray gun. Just tighten it up. She's good to go. So some of the things I look for in a budget spray gun is how is the atomization? Also, what's the build quality look like? Are you gonna spend a low amount of money just to have a gun break down and have to buy it again maybe a year down the road? Or can we get a solid budget affordable gun that actually, you know, is built pretty decent and can give you good results at home, or maybe if you're just starting in the shop? Sometimes we don't want to spend the $700 for a high-end spray gun, especially if we're new. Just honestly, it doesn't make sense. When I started off spraying, I bought the cheapest guns I could afford, around $100, $150. As I became more professional, I started to get into a little bit more expensive spray guns. But believe it or not, a spray gun just like this and a spray gun just like this actually can pretty much do the same thing. And I'm gonna show you that right now. Now here's what we have. We have a repair here. We have black primer, a little bit sanded down to the original primer. You don't always need to use a sealer here. If it's sanded well with about 400 or 600 grit, you can lightly put some paint over it, and that's just what we're gonna do. We're gonna put paint over in this area first, and then our second and third coat, we'll coat the whole entire tailgate, because the tailgate actually lines up in between the bumper and we want that to match as well. So if you want the best atomization, the finest droplet, you're gonna wanna run this gun around 26 PSI. We're gonna start off there, and then we're gonna take a look to see how well the droplet looks. We'll first take a look at our spray pattern. Not the biggest spray pattern, probably around only 8 inches, but these are some of the things you'll compromise on a cheaper gun. However, it will still get the job done. Remember, when you're spraying, air comes out first just by holding the trigger a little bit, and then as you press the trigger more, you'll get more paint. The more you press, the more paint. I'm not always full triggering it. I'm gonna lower it around 25 and gently put the paint on, keeping it moving around 75% overlap. And that's all I wanna do. We can see right here at the edge that our droplets are very fine. This is gonna blend and smooth out very, very nicely. You want it to look wet like this. Do you see how it's wet? When you spray on your base coat wet like that, it's gonna dry nice and smooth, okay? Now, this covers very, very well, so it looks like maybe 1 or 2 more coats and that will be good. I always like to say, guys, get full coverage plus 1 coat. Now over here on the bumper cover, we have our repair area here, and then we're gonna coat the outer edges as well, so our tailgate, make sure it all matches. With the first coat of base down, early impressions, it's a little bit of an aggressive gun. It's gonna get the paint on there pretty quick. It doesn't have that finesse or softness of a little bit better gun in the DV1, but does that really matter when it comes to spraying down in your garage or whether this is your first spray gun? That's what you guys really want to know. Do I recommend it? Would I tell you to go out and buy it? And I'm going to give you my best review possible because I don't want you to spend money and then regret it. So here you get a chance to actually let me test out this spray gun and see, is it worth buying? There's tons of spray guns on the market. You want to make the best choice, and I'm here to help you do that. After 10 minutes, we can see it's flashed off. What does flashed off mean? That means it's dull. It's dull in the middle. It's ready for the second coat. I'm going to tell you guys that this looks really covered, so we'll probably just do 2 coats only. But this time, I'm going to take it over the whole entire tailgate. And when I spray, I'm going to start here and then work my way up. There's really no evidence that I have found spraying from bottom to top or top to bottom works, but this is just personal preference, and this is what I prefer to do. So we'll just take it here, around 75% overlap, and we're gonna put it on our panel nice and wet, and we can see it covers very, very well. This is a little bit higher quality paint, so sometimes with the better paints, they do cover a little bit quicker. And remember, it's gonna go on a little funky, it's gonna go on a little bit weird, it might look a little orange peely, but just give it time, it will flash off. We'll show you here in a moment what it looks like. As we move on to our bumper with our second coat, guys, don't forget, this little air adjustment sometimes from factory comes all the way closed. This is something you might not know. You're gonna back that all the way out because if you don't, you're not getting the full pressure. Then you can measure the pressure here on your gauge. Now, like always, after base is flashed, I always like to check it out, make sure I covered those spots. I'm using an Astro Sunlight gun, really cheap and it's inexpensive option. The 3M Sun gun, it's like $300–400, honestly, and it breaks all the time, and the battery's always running out. This has a really good technology for the price. I think even Harbor Freight has a similar model. I mean, they're all basically the same. So I'll just make sure that my primer's all covered up. That's why we use the black primer. And like I said, always suggest full coverage and then get 1 good coat on there and you should be covered. You want to pull this out into the sun and then you see through to your base. That's not a good thing. We're ready for clear, so let's get that mixed up and I'll give you a couple tips on clear coat. And their clear coat I've been using, which I really like, it's a 4:1 ratio, mixing ratio, so it's got some body to it and it retains its gloss very, very well. Now I haven't seen it on Amazon, but if you go to your jobber and they sell Axo Nobel, then they're probably going to have this. And a clear coat that if you can't get this, FC 710, FC 720, it works well for a budget clear as well. And that is 4:1 as well. We're ready for clear. Remember how I told you it will flatten out and look smoother? Well, it should look something just like this prior to paint. And flash is a term that means that it's dried off in between coats, it's ready for its next. A couple things I noticed with that base coat. So basically, when you have that smaller fan, what you're gonna have to do is more tighter passes. And that's a compensation you're gonna have to make. And then I noticed with most cheaper guns, even with the Iwata Kiwami, that's a smaller fan. So a little bit more passes. What can end up happening with more passes? You can have the potential to get runs since you're applying more paint, so to speak, but these are little trade-offs once again. Now for your first coat of clear, the way I recommend it is, there's a lot of people saying grip coats, and grip coats work good. The problem I have with a grip coat is sometimes not putting enough material on it for mill builds. So I kind of do like a combination, right? I put my first coat on, and it's gonna be my grip coat, but it's gonna be shiny, but it's not gonna be beautiful. So if I miss a spot, if it's a little bit dry, I'm not going back in and spotting it in. I'm waiting to get that on the second coat. So what I would like to call it is a medium grip coat. So not a completely dry coat where we're spraying from a distance, but a medium grip coat so we get that first coat on medium wet. If we see something, let it flash. We'll get it on a second coat. Now for your fluid, I always like to have it wide open so you can turn that back open, 1 full turn. That way you're getting the most amount of clear onto your panel. And you can keep your pressure around 25, 26, 27 PSI. Remember, a higher PSI, finer droplet. So that's what you want. Finer droplets, smoother finish. Fatter droplets, lower pressure, fatter droplets mean orange peel most of the time. But there's a lot more elements that go into orange peel than just that. But let's lay this down around 75% overlap. Watch the speed, watch the distance. Distance is going to be a good 4 to 5 inches from the panel. And when I'm spraying, I'm always parallel to the panel, all right? And when I'm spraying, I'm going with the panel, okay? So if I'm coming here, I'm not spraying at the same angle. I'm making sure that my spray gun is spraying properly. That way I'm wetting it out as much as possible without running it. And I'm also keeping the spray gun moving at all times, never stopping. And let's pause it right there. This is what a first coat should generally look like. I don't want to deceive you. Sometimes the camera makes it look like a show car. It's not a show car, okay? We need a little bit of peel in there. Peel is what I want. Peel replicates the factory texture. Peel returns this vehicle back to factory specifications, pre-accident condition, all right? So if you got a dead flat finish, that is beautiful, but it's not meant for this particular car. That is a beautiful finish, and I gotta say, wow, pretty surprised, guys. Pretty happy with that. And let's go over to the bumper cover and let's knock out a similar finish. On this area, I'm going to make sure I have wet passes because it's a larger area. Over in here, I'm not too concerned with wetting it up because sometimes what can happen, paint is gonna wanna really run off of these little sensor holes. We don't want that, right? We want paint to go on it, get sticky, and then second coat we can lay it on a little bit more. A little dust spot right there. All right, so let's go ahead and lay it on. Now after 10 minutes, I just put down the second coat here on the tailgate, but I'm gonna show you a little bit closer the second coat on the bumper. Since it has a lot more curves, a little bit more difficult to spray, you can gain a little bit more knowledge off of an object that is a little bit tougher than just a flat panel. But let's take a look at our second coat here. We can see here on the second coat, it's nice and smooth, much smoother than it was from the first coat. Now, I gotta tell you guys, tailgates have always been my arch enemy because they like to run off of these areas. But if you use your first coat as a medium grip coat and then lay your second on a little bit wetter, I'm telling you, it's gonna be much better. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I don't get runs, but I don't get them as frequent as I used to because I really control that first coat of clear, and I make sure if I get anything, it's usually in the second, and it's really minor, if anything. But this is a beautiful finish. Now I'm gonna show you how I got this finish using the same spray gun over here. Now to get that same spray finish that we have on a tailgate, we're gonna slow it down a little bit. What I mean by slow it down is we're gonna keep the same distance, the same settings, the same everything. Take a look at this. I'm slowing it down. Remember the first coat, I was moving much quicker, but the second coat, I am putting on the paint, the clear, just a little wetter because it can hold it. If I were to put the first coat on like this, most likely it would be on the ground because it is clear coat on base coat. But now that the first coat of clear coat has really gotten a chance to tack up and stick up, this is gonna hold it like glue. And what I've learned from paint, guys, is I've learned the material and I've learned how it works. By learning how chemical works, you can really get the best results. So once again, a little bit slower, keeping that same 5 to 6 inch distance, and we're just moving along very gracefully. The middle section will move slowly as well, around 75% overlap, watching your wet edge, the top of your pattern, to make sure you connect. Want to make sure we always have a wet bottom here, making sure there's no dry spray at the bottom of our panels, keeping it nice and consistent. And I like to break up my bumper cover into a few sections. So I'll do the side, and I'll do the middle, and then I'll move over to the other end. Now I'm gonna do the top of the side, and I'm just gonna come just like this, or like this. Either way will work. Personal preference, guys. There's no one way to do something. And I'll follow it over here. Sometimes on the right side, I'll just do this instead. It's easier because I'm right-handed. And I'm not the guy that's able to spray with my left hand. I can only spray with one hand. Some of the guys, they can do it. I can't, guys. I just can't. And we're using a slow activator, so we do have some time here. Everything's gonna melt in beautifully. Again, 75% overlap. I almost have the trigger fully pulled. I have about 75 to 80% trigger pull at this point, and I'm keeping it moving, but I'm moving a little bit slower than my first coat, and I'm watching the paint from the side. You never want to watch paint from right in front. You always want to look at paint from the side angle, not directly, because it's going to show you, hey, this looks good. But if you look at it from the side, you're going to get the true reflection, if it needs another coat or not. Let's take a look at that second coat of the bumper and see if it matches the second coat here we laid down with the FLG. Now taking a look at it, it is completely smooth, beautiful OEM texture. I love an OEM texture because it goes undetected when it's back on the car. It's not too flat. And guys, most of the time now, the factories, especially with these Acuras, you're gonna find a lot of texture on the bumpers. For the most part, the panels are pretty flat and smooth, but the bumpers, since they're painted probably at a different facility and they're just going through them, they got texture on them. They got dry spray. They got a lot of things that you wouldn't expect from a high-end or a luxury car, I guess, if you can call an Acura that. But same thing on Toyota, you'll see them as well. Lexus, you won't see it. Lexus, for the most part, you won't see any peel anywhere on their bumper covers. For the most part, they're nice and smooth. Their standards, I know, are completely different. But taking a look at that, beautiful finish. Really surprised with the FLG. Let's listen in for my final thoughts on this budget spray gun. So is it worth the 200 bucks, right? So we got a gun here that was in or around 100 bucks, and do you spend an extra 100 bucks? I gotta say, the Euro Pro Astro, great spray gun. Build on the FLG, better, okay? I will say that. But I like how light this spray gun is. This will get the job done. I do see the FLG by DeVilbiss lasting a little bit longer. And here's what I like about this spray gun. 1.2, 1.4, 1.8. You can use it all the way around. If you want to use it for primer, you can use it for primer. I always recommend a separate primer gun for contamination reasons. It's just better. But you can use it for base coat. We did that here. We use it for clear coat. We're in a professional environment and we just got professional results. There's no reason why you can't do the same thing with this spray gun. Does it make spraying easy? It wasn't that bad. A higher end gun, well, it's gonna make spraying a little bit easier, but do you wanna spend $500 more if you're a beginner? For my recommendation, I would tell you it's a great gun to check out. It's an all-in-one gun, has everything you need. There's a lot of all-in-one guns from a lot of different brands that Paint Society here on the channel we go over, and I feel like they all do a pretty good job. One thing I didn't like about it, the fan, a little small for me, but it still delivers the clear and the coatings to the panel and it gets it done. You just saw it here on Paint Society. So go ahead and check it out. I'll leave the information in the description if you want to check it out on Amazon as well. Until then, guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it, it's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next episode.